detective, thrill me.
Thanks for joining us again for another episode. Tonight's episode, going back to, sort of quasi-Michael Myers territory, so to speak. Halloween
he's in it for
3.
little snippets, isn't he?
He is actually in it. I forgot about that. But Halloween 3, Season of the Witch from 1982. But before we get to that, let's do a quick round the grounds. I'll whip through mine pretty fast. I saw Hellfest.
Mm-hmm.
Jared, I believe you caught this too.
I did. I watched Hellfest.
Oh, look, you know what? It was exactly what I anticipated it was going to be. It was a slasher movie for the current era. Didn't have a lot of plot. Characters were...
Didn't have any plot.
Characters
going alright.
Characters were dead set, non-existent. They had no story at all to them. But...
their progression was, we're really excited to Hellfest to, we're really excited to be inside Hellfest. That's the character progression.
Shit, I think there might be a murder floating around now. Perhaps we should leave Hellfest? No, but it did exactly what I was hoping for. It was a slasher flick, had a couple of nasty little gore scenes.
Yeah.
Had a couple of cool moments where he kind of appeared, in amongst all the trappings of the Fright Night sort of thing.
Yeah.
Personally, I would have preferred, because there's so many people at that thing, and you got situations where the characters are standing in the middle of middle of Hellfest talking. I reckon it would have been better if it had been kind of like Halloween, where they didn't just point out he was there, but if you looked closely enough, he was standing behind them or in amongst the group behind them.
Definitely,
it would have worked really nicely.
Could have been a few more bits and pieces of that. It's just a solid idea for a slasher. Like you can get some mileage out of it. As you said, there was zero story, but there was a bit of style to it.
But there was style and it was entertaining and it was a bit of fun.
Yeah, it was entertaining enough. I probably won't go back to it a lot, but it's something I could see myself watching again in a few more years.
Yeah, I think so. I saw Happy Death Day to You.
Yes.
Look.
So did I.
It wasn't brilliant, but I kind of had a bit of fun with it. Maybe my expectations were pretty low. My problem with it was that it was so hard to get back into the time loop. Because the whole idea is getting back into it. And because the first movie had that idea, which worked really well, slasher movie in a time loop, trying to get back to it, to make it, connected.
Yeah.
It really was hard. Yeah, it was hard. Positives, though, I will say that I think I said it about in the first film, but the main girl, I believe her name is Jessica Roth. She's absolutely fantastic. Really, we need to see a bit more from her. And I actually liked the chemistry between her and the boyfriend. I thought they worked off for each other really well.
Yep.
I agree with you. The bit involving trying to get some keys using a blind person maneuver
I thought I was
absolutely terrible.
Yeah.
Absolutely terrible.
Yeah, no, I saw it as well. I actually watched the first one the night before I went to see the sequel. First one's even better than I remembered it being. It's not an absolute classic, but it's essential viewing in the horror sort of canon now for mine.
Agreed.
She is fantastic, Jessica Roth, and she is in the sequel too. Problem with the sequel was, the opening 20 minutes. The first movie, we didn't have to explain the time loop at all. Second movie, you spend 20 minutes setting up the explanation, and it was fucking boring as... It was so bad. Like that opening 20 minutes, I was basically lost from there.
I was initially concerned we were going to be stuck with him.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh.
I had a little bit of fun with it, and I understand that going back to the slasher element is difficult because the cast was limited, so you've got to find another person in there to set up the whodunit and all this sort of thing. And I was okay with sort of going back and making some changes and things like that, but it just wasn't... They tried to go the sci-fi and sort of comedy route. The sci-fi was pretty boring, and the comedy was... it was okay. It was all right, a few laughs, but overall, I didn't.
How's this for an idea though? Why didn't they just go back into the loop, right? But everybody's being killed. All of them are being attacked and killed off. And she knows, obviously, because she's been in the loop before. Yeah. She has to help them out, and of course, the idea of it's slightly changed now, so the murder is different. Yeah. Then you could add that.
Or you can always the other option was you go back in, but the murderer knows that it's a loop too now. So there. Yeah. But there's ways to go.
I mean, with all our experience in script writing.
We're just tossing out ideas. It's writer's room, mate.
Yeah.
Like, anyone can get into a writer's
There'll
room.
be 5 movies out of this. We'll have 5 different movies.
Yeah, we'll come out and we'll say, we've got 17 ideas ready to rock and roll. Pick one and off you go.
Yeah.
But
They made it too very complicated.
The sci-fi stuff was just not interesting. The best parts of it were, again, when she goes back into the loop and there's a few sort of funny moments with how she deals with it in there and how she has to get through and bring back some knowledge and whatnot rather than sort of surviving this and that.
Yeah.
But just the big thing for me was that there was too many parts of it that were just a bit boring.
Look, I don't see a third one.
Well, they basically set it up and said...
Well, let's be honest.
The box office performance hasn't been as good, but because
when
it
you're
cost
making a $9 million picture...
Yeah, that's right.
it's good enough, you know, so...
It'll make 100 million worldwide, that's plenty. But I just don't
Better
see
profit
how...
than John Carter.
I don't see how you can make a third. Because once again, you've got to go back into the time loop.
Did you say for the credits?
Yeah, saw that. And again, I don't know whether that's worthwhile for me.
Yeah, so... not sure.
I saw Tomb Raider. The new Tomb Raider.
Mm-hmm.
Mate, I really enjoyed it.
You love a Tomb Raider.
I enjoyed it greatly. Surprisingly, because I initially thought it was going to be kind of rubbish. And everything I'd read had been kind of like, meh, it's kind of average. But I thought it was really, really well done.
Yeah, it was fun.
And
I'm a big Walt Goggins fan.
Yeah,
too.
Walt Goggins was good. And yeah, even if you could say he was sleepwalking a little bit, he was still pretty good.
Yeah.
She is fantastic. Like, she is perfect. I didn't even think about her when they were talking about recasting it, but she's spot on. And she really commits to it, mate. Like, she's in super nick, and she's a good athlete, so it pays off. And I love the fact that she actually fights it out with blokes.
Yeah, and the plot was pretty close to what you could expect from one of those games. Like, a little bit streamlined, not going through all the puzzles and things like that, but you could see that sort of concept being the setup for one of the games.
Yeah.
Or an Uncharted game or something like that.
And so I thought they did it really well, but unfortunately, again, due to box office receipts, I don't think we'll see a sequel.
As I said to you earlier, I think we should. I think the rule of thumb should be don't spend over $100 million unless it's a Marvel picture
or a Star Wars
possibly
picture.
a Star Wars movie.
Because even something like Alita, which I believe will be the biggest flop of the year, only because it costs so much.
Yeah,
it's simple as that. What else did I go for? We watched the first 2 seasons of a show on Netflix called Atypical.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I liked it.
I've seen that.
Yeah, I thought it was good. I thought it was pretty good. Nothing out of the outstanding, but it was good and decent watch.
That's special needs.
Yeah. He's got autism.
Yep.
And then I went back to Chappelle's show.
Yes.
You know what? I remember all those classic bits, like the Hollywood Stories and the when Keeping It Real goes wrong and Tyrone. But one of my favourites was Everything's Better in Slow-Mo.
Oh, yeah.
And he's doing his laundry and it shows it in normal motion. Then when it's in slow-mo, there's fans going and he's dancing like Michael Jackson and the old lady turns into a gorgeous young... It was bloody... It was absolutely hilarious. And I've forgotten all about that stuff. So there's a couple where I've come into little skits and I'm like, oh, God, I didn't remember this.
I've watched that show to the point of ridiculous. It's part of my everyday. Like that and Seinfeld.
It's bloody fantastic.
Part of my vocabulary.
It's really disappointing that it's only 2 seasons, really.
Yeah. But you watch that attempt at the 3rd season, and you can see the ideas were drying up.
Yeah.
So it felt like there's a couple of good things, but
it was hard to tell whether he was running out a little bit or they stretched out everything they had to get a bit more mileage out of it when it was totally underdeveloped when he disappeared. So.
Yeah. Mind you, the bloke's pretty damn good. You watch his stand-up.
Yeah.
He's still, he's funny.
Yeah. Even now, he's such a good storyteller. Like, he's got those moments of anger and rambling that he's prone to these days. But in amongst it, there's still just, 5-minute stretches of brilliance. And,
yeah. But it was definitely worth it because I hadn't seen it in years. I loved it. And that was it for me.
I'm jealous. I'm like... You go, Chad.
All right, so obviously Hellfest, I mentioned the Happy Death Day 1 and 2. I got onto Titans. So being that when we don't actually have DC, what's it called? DC Unlimited or whatever, I can't remember what it's called, but their streaming service in Australia. For the meantime, they're dropping them on Netflix Australia. So Titans...
Are they going to have a streaming service?
They've already got it.
Oh, have they?
So this is the first show off their streaming service. That's the one that had the trailer where Robin, fuck Batman.
Yeah, how was it?
It's pretty good. It's pretty good. I'm really enjoying it. They've just dropped Doom Patrol, and there was an episode of Doom Patrol in this one that was kind of fun. But yeah, I'm really enjoying it. It's definitely got a bit of grit. It's got some... As a fan of, Batman and that kind of world, seeing different takes on particular characters is kind of interesting. And so this one's Dick Grayson, but he's a really angry, kind of taking elements from the other Robins. He's really angry at Batman and he's having this realisation that this prick used me for... He's mentally unstable and he used me for my childhood, for his revenge, kind of. And so it's an angry kind of Dick Grayson, and then he meets up with some of the other characters, and it's kind of funny too because I'm concurrently watching... My kids love Teen Titans Go, which is total opposite end of the spectrum, where they're taking the characters and it's basically just one of those Cartoon Network comedy shows. So to be at the same time watching the same characters, really gritty.
Interpretations.
Yeah, it's good fun. Like I like it because they put a hard edge to it, but they still, dress them up in the sort of comic costumes and things like that. So it's kind of like a little bit of that Marvel stuff, but a bit more of the, we're still kind of ridiculous. We're still dealing with aliens and demons, and I'm having a lot of fun with it so far. I saw Glass.
Nah. I'm not going to say anything.
Look, it had some okay ideas, but it just... I don't know where we were going. Like, it just sort of...
They tried to limit the budget, and instead of making a good movie, they made a movie.
I mean, there's still some ideas in there that I look at and I say, I could continue going with this world. But, I mean, for fuck's sake, like, the Sarah Paulson character... We knew from the get-go there was something shifty going on in that whole scenario. And we spend...
An hour?
Going into a little bit of spoilers, I'm not going to go too much, but if you haven't seen it, just switch off for 20 seconds or so. The fact that she... Like, we know, but we spend 45 minutes of the movie of her trying to convince them they're not special. Fucking every man and his dog can tell that they're special. Blind Freddy knows they're special.
Yeah.
And so you know from the outset that she's not on the level, but we have to go through this fucking rigmarole. So it was
so
really
long.
Yeah, it was hard to watch from that perspective. It was so long when you knew we're going to get to this point, and then when we get there, it's kind of a little bit unsatisfying because you've gone through so much to get there. But yeah, it had a few nice touches of direction. Like Shyamalan's just, you always know you're going to get some inventive kind of shots and some things that you're going to look at and go, yeah, it's kind of cool from a visual standpoint. Yeah. But yeah, it was just not on.
So much of it was just set up. Oh, look, there's the water tower over there.
Yeah.
I felt like again, if you don't like spoilers, another 20 seconds. But the whole premise or the whole big twist didn't really make any sense unless you were super into comic books. The whole it's an origin story. That was like a nice twist, but that was, I think, meant to be a much bigger twist than it.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. Everything up to that point undermined it.
Yeah.
It wouldn't have been such a bad thing, but we barely spent any time.
The simple fact of the matter is, why not go back and put the hero and the villain together? In a way, I didn't know whether you really needed Sammy Jackson. I love Sammy Jackson.
I would have cut McAvoy loose, I think.
Yeah, well...
I would have preferred to see less of him and more of Sammy Jackson and Bruce Willis.
Yeah. Well, McAvoy was in it too much, and he was as good as he was fantastic.
He was great.
But I just got tired of him switching personalities every 5 seconds, and I'm just sitting there thinking, aren't we supposed to put...
Isn't the movie called Glass?
Yeah. The villain and the hero back together, and McAvoy's kind of your muscle. He's your muscle.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
Explore the fact that Audrey's dead. Like, they didn't explore that at all, Like, they could have gone into some of that and seen how it might have affected Dunn. He's a superhero, but he's emotionally ruined by the death of his wife. Get to that. That's the Shyamalan I kind of expected.
Yeah. I actually really liked his son being back. Him and his son was kind of cool.
The Dunn that I liked, though, was that just didn't really care about the day-to-day life. He wasn't after success. He would have played football if he was after success. Yeah. But now he's running some sort of ridiculous, massive security company. Like,
And his son is Oracle. Like he's the Oracle
Come
to
on.
Batman.
It's so silly.
Yeah.
All right, let's get off that before someone fires up.
Yeah, sorry, we won't fire. I took a little detour down Bronson territory again.
Little detour.
A little detour, large detour. I spent plenty of time on Bronson Lane. I watched
Bronson Lane's the worst street in town.
Not only that, but it was Cannon. It was across from Cannon and Bronson.
What is
The intersection of Cannon and Bronson. I spent a lot of time standing on the corner there. I watched Death Wish 4 and 5.
Let me guess, the bloody corner was crawling with hookers.
The corner was crawling with the scum of the earth, but thankfully, you know, a
Charles
mustachioed
Bronson.
saviour came in and gunned them all down for me.
Hey, what else did you get on? If you went 4 and 5, and
I went 4 and 5, and then I went to lengths to get a look at Death Kiss. So not necessarily Bronson, but our friend Robert Bronzy.
Close enough.
He sounds like the porn star equivalent of Charles Bronson.
Yeah.
It looks close enough.
Oh,
Looks close enough.
yeah. Robert Bronzy Kovacs, he's got some work to do.
Got some work to do. Really, he's got a lot of work
I
to
tell
do.
you, they've turned him into a cottage industry.
I know, he's got a new one. Attack of Cell Block 10 or something.
Death Block 13 or whatever it is. And I'm telling you, I'm all in.
Yeah,
Which
good.
Death Wish 4 and 5 are exactly what you expected, just over the top.
But aren't they a little bit more grounded than 3?
Yeah. Yeah.
But that's not saying much.
3 was just off the wall. These parts have their moments of sheer lunacy as well, but it's entertaining enough. I knew what I was getting into, and seeing a young Danny Trejo in part 4, and then Michael Park hamming it up as the heavy in 5.
Oh, really?
And he is just, I don't know what's going on with him. He's just bloody spouting absolute shite.
How's Bronson looking in 5?
Everybody, not sharp. He's looking,
Not sharp.
I'll tell you who's looking better is Mr. Bronzy.
Oh yeah, Bronzy's looking buff. He's looking,
he's
smooth faced.
He's looking around sort of, Death Wish 2 and 3 Bronson. It's, look,
Does Bronzy walk off a beating like Bronson does?
Oh, yeah, bloody oath. He likes to throw, like, he sells it like Ric Flair, too. Like, he gets a hit in the face and he's flying everywhere. But, yeah, I went to lengths to that. I had to watch it with Indonesian subtitles, but I was okay with that.
You were happy with that?
It's not a good movie by any stretch, but there's something about seeing a bloke who looks just like Bronson doing the same Bronson things that I just couldn't look away from. I was absolutely wrapped in it.
He's a loathsome, offensive brute, and I couldn't look away.
That's it. So yeah,
Oh my God, you must have been. You needed a shower after that, surely.
After spending 3 films on in Bronson territory, I need to eat a little bit of crow because I saw Alita.
Oh yep.
It was far better than I could have expected it to be. It's not an absolute, it's not. They haven't knocked it out of the park, but it's far better than I expected. Rodriguez knows how to have some fun with the action and the violence. It's really violent in some parts, but because they're all robots and stuff, it's just like, oh, they sliced an arm off. That's nothing. It's just a robot arm.
Yeah, that's right.
It's some of the characters are paper thin, but having guys like Christoph Waltz and Mahershala Ali, they can take a paper thin character and still make it watchable. Mahershala Ali is just about my favourite actor going at the moment. He's really good. Unfortunately, his character is one of the thinnest, but yeah, I really enjoyed it. And bugger me if some of the motorball stuff wasn't the best stuff in the movie. It was bloody awesome. Some of it.
You were certainly. I think you've had to eat the whole crow because you were laying the slippery pretty hard.
I'm not going to eat the whole crow because I still wholeheartedly believe it was a mistake to spend $200 million.
As I said to you, I'm going to piss and moan about it, but not see it, so I can continue to piss and moan.
You're refusing to see it, so you don't have to eat any crow. I'm going to save you some.
It depends on how the crow was cooked.
I'm saving you a wing and a leg. You can jam it right in your gob beak. No, look.
Well, you know my fucking...
as I said, I'm going to eat a little bit Hungry Crow because the quality of the movie was better than I expected. And you can see why they spent $200 million on it because the world is huge and there's all these special effects, but you're not going to make it back.
Well, if you do, it's going to be very, very hard.
Yeah, I don't think you're going to make
The Rock.
it. Yeah, well, that's it. If you cast The Rock, and Jason Statham and
Alita is played by The Rock.
But the bottom line is, I read an article saying that they'll need 500 million to break even. Now, that's a big ask in anyone's language.
It's not going to happen.
And they'll be lucky to get 100 in America.
I better go watch it.
So that means you need 400 overseas.
You better go see it twice just to try and bump it up a little bit. No, I think it's... I don't know. It'll probably have some legs. It'll be something that people might go back to and have some legs after cinema. But yeah, I can't see where they're going to make it.
It's a gross waste of money. There you go. I've said it. I've put a pin in.
Okay, thanks for that. The last thing I checked out wasn't a movie. I got my hands on the comic A Million Ways to Die Hard.
Ah, yes.
That's
not going to be the final film, I hope.
A bit ordinary. I'm glad they did it as a comic and not a film. It was... Yeah, it's a bit of a... It's not a bad idea, but it's a bit fucking... bit over the top. It would have been more over the top than Die Hard 5. It doesn't really work altogether. So, yeah, that was me.
Now, did you... I'm calling in... I'm calling in that you have another film. Didn't you watch Death Wish remake as well?
Oh, yeah, I did, actually, yeah.
Because I know that you've done the full Death
Well,
Wish
it didn't have Bronson, so I just forgot about it straight away.
You did the whole Death Wish catalogue, is that correct?
I did.
You are now...
I completed the Death
You are
Wish
now...
catalogue.
You've got a Death Wish.
Including Death Wish. I've got a Death Wish. But yeah, because I watched the
You've got
Death
a
Wish
wish and a kiss.
remake. I watched the Death Wish remake and then just fucking get that aside. Death Wish, here we come. Bronzy. That's who I needed instead of Bruce Willis. Yeah,
What was your take on the remake?
it was okay. I've just got Eli Roth just doesn't seem to be hitting the mark for me much lately. Like it's there's parts of it that are going along with the anti-gun stuff in this one too, in the remake, and moving the setting to somewhere like Chicago that's got issues with that at the moment. It's kind of undercut when you
Drop a car on
full,
somebody.
Yeah, when you go full kind of over the top grotesque gore. So one minute you kind of throwing it, seemingly going for an anti-violence thing, and the next thing you know you're going full on as gory as you can on screen. I don't know. It just funnily enough, the best person in it was Bruce Willis. He actually put in a solid performance.
Yeah. But the movie's it's got it's like a split personality. It doesn't.
Yeah.
It sometimes tries to stick to, as you say, vigilantism and gun violence and all that.
Yeah, it's asking the question: do you agree with it or not?
Yeah. But
And
then
it's just
he'll drop a car on some guy and
Yeah,
squash him,
yeah.
and your guts will come out, and it'll be like.
And expecting you to go, yeah, cop that.
Yeah, cop
So it's like, where are we here? What's your aim with it? Because it felt like some of it was trying to get that discussion, and then some of it was like, let's go the old Bronson cannon route and just let's cheer for someone having their head fucking blown off.
The thing is, we cheered.
So I was sitting there going, I'm not sure about your message, Mr. Ross.
Yeah.
Then I'm jumping onto Robert Bronzy going, yeah, shoot him, Robert, get into it.
All right. That you?
Yeah, I've got a pretty thin list.
Yeah.
But I watched The Cured, which is a zombie movie with Ellen Page in it.
Is that a Netflix?
That's Netflix, yeah. So the that's like a post zombie apocalypse, and I guess they've found the cure, and they've got 25% of the zombies that they've detained are immune to the cure. So they're figuring out what they're going to do with them, and there's like zombies walking amongst them that people don't realise that they're zombies. So it's like about relationships. Can you tell people? Who can you tell? And
How was it?
good.
Yeah.
I liked it.
Sounds interesting.
I was into it. Yeah. So it sort of fit into that whole Maggie thing of when it's not just zombies chasing people and then taking them down. It's the human element of what would happen if we did have an apocalypse like that.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, really interesting. I watched the first Halloween.
You finally got on board.
I'm well on board on the first.
I mean, Gibbo wouldn't speak to you after you told us you hadn't
Now
watched
you
Die
can
Hard.
start
Now
talking.
I can talk to you again.
That movie is just top notch. I really enjoyed it. Even watching it from, I guess, through a lens of it wasn't the first horror movie I ever saw, or in that first couple that I'd ever seen. It's just a quality movie, full stop. Let alone a quality horror movie.
Mm-hmm.
The whole first scene sucked me in straight away. The references to Hitchcock and just they could make that a whole movie. Just the twist at the beginning of the first scene.
Yeah.
So they do a lot with very little and just kept me engaged the whole time. Loved it.
Golden.
Yeah, I'm keen to see the second one. Fourth and fifth, not
All
so.
downhill from here.
I started watching Dirty John. Which
Oh
is,
yeah.
yeah.
I listened to the podcast. I'm unsure whether I want to watch the show because
I'm sure it'll probably ruin the podcast for
Eric
me.
Banner's in it though, so you better.
Yeah. They're
Local
pretty much
boy.
the first 2 episodes, they're just setting up that the female lead is an idiot and she doesn't listen to anyone around her. So, and then he's just...
how's Banner going?
Banner's good, yeah. He's starting to warm into the self-protection and very narcissistic mode at the moment. So
I remember listening to the podcast and they kept saying, "Oh, he used to just walk around in surgical scrubs all day."
Yeah.
It was like, what the fuck? Like, honestly, it's not. You sure you're not going? Why are you dressed in your scrubs all day? For God's sake.
My wife was just like gobsmacked with. She's like, "How come she doesn't listen to her own family?" I'm like, "This happens all the time.
Yeah.
People disown their kids because they found a bloke that they like."
Yeah, that's right.
Don't think it's
Certainly
don't
not.
think it's that.
It wouldn't be the
mysterious.
first time that.
Yeah, that's right. So that's worth a watch. We'll see how that pans out. Because we just got the internet hooked up in our house, there's been a lot of commercial television going on.
Married at first time?
Yep. Hey,
I was joking.
before you knock it, there's some entertainment value. Yeah, sure.
The only entertainment value is with that bird called Inez got called anus. And he's correct because she's a massive asshole.
There's a scene in there where the two good-looking people get together and they're like, the chemistry between us is electric. The conversation is just so free-flowing, and then they cut to a scene where they're discussing cheese platters. So Ollie, do you like what about wine? You drink wine? It's very, very, very insightful. I reckon the whole thing's acted. It's pretty funny.
They've got to stop putting those shows on.
People watch it.
Because, I know, but they condone bullying and stuff. Like, the way some of these people treat each other is just...
Yeah.
It's just awful.
Yeah. It's an insight into how normal your life is.
I always do find it. I love it though when the people come out and start.
I was edited.
Afterwards, I was edited badly. I'm sitting there thinking, this cannot be the first time in your life someone's called you an arsehole. You are just a piece of work. This should not be a surprise.
Yeah.
You should have been told before this.
Whereas me and you, I'm not surprised. Someone says to me, you're an asshole. Yep.
I just find it.
Spot on.
I just think that the so-called experts should be like.
Oh, they should be.
They should be hanging their heads in
Get
shame.
rid of the experts. They should just
Nobody's-
get bloody Tindered and match them up.
Yeah, just get the peanut gallery. Just run a competition. 3 fans. You can match them up because you do it as good
Better
a job
job.
as the expert.
Yeah.
That's a ratings bonanza. Give me a call, gentlemen.
So for some people, there's no partners. They're just broken.
Yeah, we've matched you with yourself.
I started watching. It was just because it was on. There's a show called New Amsterdam, which is just like a surgery show.
Oh, yeah?
And I can't.
Is this a documentary type of show? Or?
No, it's
Legitimate.
real. Yeah. But I think it just like because I started reading a book on the Wire about the behind the scenes on the Wire, and they talked about in that right at the beginning. But they're saying how the Wire works because it's not that typical. There's one hero or one person that it's focused on that it follows through. And this show could be good, but I think it does that. It follows that one guy, and he's the savior, and he's meant to fix everything. But give me the Wire any day where you're following a whole bunch of people.
Well,
that have
that's
a bit
why
of
New
depth
Amsterdam's never going to be in the top 3 or 4 TV shows of all time.
Yeah, that's
Oh,
right.
now.
Yeah, absolutely. So
Maths, number 2.
Maths at 2.
Maths is up there.
My Kitchen Rules at 3.
It's good. It's good conversation fodder at work.
Yeah, well, you know people are watching it and then talking about it. And it's
Yeah.
like, thankfully, I don't speak to anyone.
Yeah.
I got rid of the water cooler.
That bloke watches Maths? Nah, he's an asshole.
Yeah, and then I just go, yep, spot on. No, sometimes I go, am I?
No, you've just seen me poorly edited. The producers put me up to that.
Yeah, absolutely. Anything else, Matty?
Nah, that's it. Short list this week.
All right, let's take a break. Here's the trailer for 1982's Halloween 3, Season of the Witch.
First, there was Halloween. Then the terror continued with Halloween 2. Now, Halloween 3. The night no one comes home.
The world's going to change tonight, Doctor.
Halloween 3, Season of the Witch.
Happy Halloween.
Rated R. Starts Friday at a theater near you. Check newspapers.
Halloween 3, Season of the Witch from 1982, written and directed by Tommy Lee Wallace, who directed It, the TV movie version, and Fright Night 2. Just quietly, I saw a trailer for a It documentary called Pennywise. It's about the making of the TV movie.
You're in.
Yeah, I'm definitely.
Yeah.
There was some uncredited writing on this by one John Carpenter and a guy called Nigel Neal. Now, I believe he supposedly...
He came up with the
It's
concept,
about
right?
60%, they said, of it.
Yeah, I think he wrote the original.
Yeah.
And then
But he wasn't real happy with it.
wasn't real happy with Carpenter
he
and Tommy
took-
Lee Wallace. So Tommy Lee Wallace ended up with the sole credit.
Yeah. Produced by John Carpenter and Deborah Hill. It stars legend Tom Atkins as Dr. Daniel Chalice, Stacey Nelkin as Ellie Grimbridge, and Dan O'Herlihy as Connell Cochran. Budget was $2.5 million. Box office 14.4. That was in the US. This film was included on film critic Roger Ebert's most hated list.
Thanks, Rog.
Bingo! Good way to start.
He did love a slasher though.
He loved a slasher, he did. It was 1982. His hatred was at full fever pitch at that point. If you were even thinking about a slasher, he was giving you 0.
Yeah. Oh,
All right.
Yeah.
Matty, give us your thoughts. Is this the first time you've seen
First
it?
time I saw it, and I just watched number 1 before it, the first Halloween. This just felt like a really bad episode of Twilight Zone. It had like really poor effects. The villain was like the worst Bond villain you can imagine. It was not super entertained with it. So yeah, I'll give like being generous. I'll give it a 1.5.
I'll hear none of that around Saint
Atkins. Saint Atkins. He's bloody not happy about
Hook
that.
me up with Ebert. We're gonna.
Look, let me retort. I believe Jared informed me that you said this movie was a shit sandwich or
Turd sandwich.
turd sandwich. But I'm gonna counter that by saying, the bread was Turkish bread or something. It's a highbrow turd sandwich, I
It's
can
a
tell
marble
you.
rye or something like that.
It's got some
Marble
big parts.
rye with a bloody
Yeah, it's like cheddar cheese though. There's like holes all the way through it.
No, it's not. It's all English or Swiss, mate. I can tell you.
It's been gnawed
Look,
by rats.
I actually think it's a bit of a it's a sort of a slow burn suspense film with a nice atmosphere.
Yeah.
And for a while, the ideas seem interesting. Where we're going, but it is just undone by the answers. The answers to everything are the most ridiculous stuff I've seen.
Even the setup. The whole premise is a doctor becomes a private investigator to ruin the Stepford wives.
Yeah, but it's not
it's
just
just
any
stupid.
doctor.
Lock up your daughters. I'll tell you right now. Chalice is on the loose again. He's pissed. He's pissed.
Chalice.
He's on the loose again.
Well, that explains it, doesn't it? He was shit-faced when he came up with the idea to follow the breadcrumbs himself.
There's some good one-liners in it.
Yeah, well,
Good
no,
moments in
the
it.
breadcrumbs are sparse. So you can't.
If you said to me we need to watch this
your way
again, I'd be
back.
like, I don't think so.
Let's be clear. Dr. Shallis said she looks all right. I might have to. Yeah, I'll come along. Let's solve this mystery together.
Including her dad, she still can't resist him. She looks a bit like Michael Jackson, by the
That's
way.
what I said to Adam. I was half expecting the other characters when they walked into a room with Tom Atkins to just spontaneously burst out with a mustache. Like, it's just such a so.
And then the upper shirt buttons burst open and some hair pops out. No, look, I gave it 3 out of 5.
3?
Yep. I'm eating 2 of the turd sandwiches, I can tell you now. Yeah, if you don't feed me up one of those, I'll have seconds.
Yeah, I'll have a toasted turd sandwich as well, mate.
You'll have a toasted turd sandwich. Oh man.
Maybe splash a bit of the date sauce on there as well.
There's some seasoning on that you really like.
Look, I loved it.
Yeah, I think
That's my opinion.
I am pushing towards a 3 without him. I think some of that again is just because there's this, you know, it's part of a series that we are well sort of versed in and love to revisit. Tommy Atkins, I'd watch him in anything, absolutely anything. It's got, in all seriousness though, it's got 5-minute stretches here and there of really good stuff. The score has some cracking moments again. With you can see Carpenter jumped in and came up with a couple of Silver Shamrock song, not so much for you. But there's some really good parts. The Twilight Zone episode was a good way to describe it. Like, the villain's plan is baffling.
Is it fair to say it's not fully formed?
It's not fully formed. He's got a bit of Yves Perret syndrome, I think. He's just
he sniffed a couple of rats and suddenly came up with a plan.
But luckily for him, he's got robots who aren't going to question his plan.
You're only hiring from outside.
Yeah, he's not taking any shit from anyone.
No, he's not taking any shit. He's just created his own workforce and said, fuck the lot of you to everyone else. But yeah, there's parts of it that I genuinely do enjoy. There is some massive problems with it. If I was looking at it in the cold light of day, I'd probably be more the 2.5 range. But I think the
Atkins
fuzzy
factor.
feelings I get from the Halloween series and Tom Atkins, so I just got to push it to
Two
a
second snippets of Halloween.
The
one,
Atkins-
just push it up a half.
And
The Atkins factor is huge.
especially
You
because
cannot deny.
especially because it didn't have Michael Myers. It was just looked upon as just an absolute piece of nothing for so long.
No, but you know what? If they'd have just called it Season of the Witch,
Yeah.
it would have had more legs.
Yeah, probably.
Because as soon as you put Halloween on it, there was the expectation we'd see.
That was going to
Michael Myers.
create some sort of suspense.
And look,
Which is-
I'll take part 3 over 5 and 6 any day of the
Yeah,
week.
exactly.
Yeah.
Anything-
I haven't seen those yet.
Shit
so-
sandwich, table 3.
I'm sitting at the table, knife and fork at the ready. Napkin tucked into my shirt.
It's up there with
Ready to go.
most of the Freddy's, to be fair.
All right, let's get into the likes here, okay? I'm with you. The score is not his best, but pretty good. It has that same kind of style as The Thing or The Fog or those type of ones where it's kind of like quietly creepy type of stuff.
Yeah, he just knows how to craft these kind of scores that heighten the sense of like dread or isolation or whatever that the characters are going through at the moment. He does that really well and knows how to kind of it rises when there's kind of action happening. He's very good at it.
Yeah.
Him and his synth is.
He's nailed it. Look,
Did we mention Tom Atkins?
Tom Atkins.
Let's do it.
Tom Atkins. Honestly, this is the kind of character where he's the most testosterone-filled character I've ever seen in my entire life. He's the kind of character where you could look at him and played by anyone else, someone less charming, he'd just be a drunken, chain-smoking scumbag. But he just, somehow gets ladies due to his bristling mustache.
It's your friendly sleazy doctor.
Exactly. He's a sleaze, but he's a charming sleaze.
I don't even mind. It's like
He's got a pinch of misogyny in him, but he's just
That touch of institutional sexism that exists in that hospital.
No wonder
is
the
just lovely.
no wonder the women are intoxicated by him because they're getting bloody overcome by the stench of beer on the bloke.
I didn't mind the little cheeky bum slaps.
That
was really nice.
The ass. He keeps putting his arm around people just
Oh,
randomly.
all the time.
Yeah.
He's a big fan.
What was her name? Agnes or whatever? Gives her a big slap on the bum as he's walking past.
Yeah.
Jesus.
The
She just gives it the keeps going.
I'm not sure if it's a like or not, but how casually he blows off his wife to solve the mystery of the masks with some hottie is
As any good doctor would do.
he's just
any good drunken doctor would do.
Yeah. Any good drunken
That is
doctor.
the best. To me, that's my favourite scene. It sums the bloke up in 2 seconds. He's on the payphone to his wife. Look, I can't come and see the kids tonight.
I'll be back to Halloween.
Yeah, they can come trick or treating with me. I gotta go. He just hangs up on her, and he's got a 6-pack on top of the bed.
And then when he
He
goes,
runs out of excuses, so he's just like, I've got to go. I don't know which hotel I'm in. I'm out.
grabs the 6-pack, and then you can see when he's nipping off to the car with Ellie, there's a pep in the step. That's the only reason he's going.
You got to give him a point for character development because at the end when he's on the phone, he's like, "Just don't let them watch your television." He's got a bit of remorse there for a life misused.
Oh man, I love it. But again, there's another great scene with him, and I'm probably jumping ahead of myself. We'll go backwards. But he's talking to the coroner, and this is what I mean about his cheeky sort of sexual sort of. It seems fetishes if you go with what he's doing here. But he goes to the coroner. He's got his arm around her as per usual, and she goes, "Oh, I can just be like a moonlighting sort of person." And he goes, "Oh, you're the best at that." And then he kind of gives her a cheeky smile and sort of says, "Have you still got that?" And he stops, like, but there's a glint in the eye, and I think he's going to say something like, "Have you still got the ball gag?" I don't know. I know.
You still got that sex swing hanging over your
Is that still up?
He seems like a fluffy handcuff.
Yeah, she goes, "Yeah, it's still up. I'll come round tonight." Like, everything about that just has me going, so what's he talking about? Like, what was this all about? I want to know. But there's a charming bit of cheek to it.
Everything about his character leans towards that. You can't think of anything else unless he's saying, "You still got that bottle of scotch I left in your place."
Yeah.
That's the only other option.
Oh man. My other big ticket one is I actually kind of like the villain. I did, because he kind of
He's bizarre.
he's as bizarre as, but also the actor just understands that this is just way off the rails. Like, by the end of it, I am going to be trotting out some absolute crap.
He's
but
like Scrooge and like Mr. Burns. He's just lost the point.
I'm in agreement with you that when he first comes on, he's nailing this, old toy maker kind of Willy Wonka sort of vibe to him. But then, when it's, the sense of dread has to come along, he's just hammy. He knows it's fucking bullshit.
He's like,
dribbling.
the hills run red. And all sort of bullshit at one point. I'm just like, what are you going on about?
He turns on.
I mean, he actually looks legitimately. He sells the fact that this piece of Stonehenge makes him disappear.
Yeah, somewhat. Yeah.
How's he imported a bit of Stonehenge?
We'll get to that. I think that's
I
a
thought about that
disclose.
myself. I think that's in the disclose as well. I actually had...
Logistically, I
It's
think
impressive,
it's
if anything.
Going back to the score, and this was where it got Twilight Zone-y for me, is when they get to Santa Mira, there's always... We've spoken about this before, how there's this kind of eerie thing about kind of being alone in this place where everyone else is in on something and you're not. And I think a lot of it is Carpenter's score, but some of the shots when they're driving into town and everyone's just looking at them and something's off. And that was where I got, as Matty said, that Twilight Zone kind of vibe. And there was parts of that when they got there that were pretty good. as I said, 5-minute stretches broken up with a couple of things that will be popping up in my dislikes as well. But yeah, I did like that. I did like that eerie kind of vibe around Santa Mira.
Yeah, I did like that as well. I think just the idea of they're listening to us, they're watching us. You know, there's you try and get an outside line, you can't get it.
Yeah, and they add things like the curfew.
Yeah,
you know, the curfew comes on board, and you're like, yeah, definitely something amiss here. And
I'm going back to the start for my first like, which was I just felt that opening sequence where we see him running down the road with the mask. Someone's following him. We don't know a lot about it. He ends up at the hospital.
Yeah,
this bloke just comes in, gouges his eyes out as you do, leaves, pours gasoline over himself and dies.
Yeah,
and
the shots, there's a couple of good kills in it.
Yeah, you kind of like, what's going on?
Yeah, the shots of Tom Atkins chasing him down the hall too,
where it's sort of like
pretty stylish, and they had this, and again, some nice score pumping through.
How does he lose him? I don't know how he loses him in that short time.
Well, we saw Tom without his shirt on.
He's not in the best of shape. He's just slugged out. He's just demolished a few cans as well.
His pants are very tight.
It's like he's running with a full gut. Bouncing around, he's sitting there. That's it. The score coming up. Him going, excuse me.
Yeah, getting his own mouth.
I did like that scene.
I love the fact too that they cut to him in the sort of the break room.
Yeah,
and dead set. He looks like he's about to sleep off Aggo, mate. He looks funny shit.
I'm not sure if it's a dislike or a like, but his red shirt pops off the screen.
Definite line.
He could do a button up.
No, he could do with another one open, I feel.
That's borderline staying alive territory.
Yeah. I actually think that the movie it actually, you can sort of see Carpenter's influence in the way it's shot and the way it's kind of slower burn, it's slower moving.
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of like that. It sort of didn't go too far away from Carpenter's involvement. Like, he's obviously involved in this.
Yeah. Other than dislike around, possibly being unnecessary, but when they arrive at the hotel and we just randomly get where do you want to sleep, Dr. Chalice? Oh, that's a dumb question, Miss Grimbridge. And we are off. We're off to the races.
You've known this woman for 24 hours.
Is there only one hotel in the whole place?
Yeah.
It's only... Yeah.
But even more interesting...
Check the books.
But even more interesting...
He's checking for the
name of her father.
Confirm that he definitely stayed there. Good detective work from Tom.
Yeah, well, look, when you're coming out of an alcohol-fueled haze, you might be quite right.
But he's gone 15 minutes without, some light flirting or something.
Yeah.
And it just,
He's he's like George Costanza. Remember when Costanza gave up sex and he became smart?
Yeah.
That's what Atkins, because he hadn't got a boner for 20 minutes, that's why his detective work was rock solid during that. Pardon the pun.
He was following his dick around in that movie.
It was so funny though. It was
like those bloody sticks that they find water with.
Yeah. I'm looking at it and I'm like, no, they're not going to hook up. And in one line, it's just.
Yeah, what's funny about that though? Beforehand, he goes, "We get into town, we rent a couple of rooms, we case the place out. Then as soon as the guy comes up to the side window, he leans over and goes, "Oh, love, we'll take a room." And I'm thinking, smooth, Tom.
Yeah.
You didn't even tell her. You just came straight in with, "We'll just take one room."
Yeah.
No one occupies a door frame quite like he does.
Again, this was one that could have easily gone in the dislikes if it was anyone but Tom Atkins. The lady next door, bloody melts her fucking face off, and you hear the and Ellie goes, "What was that?" And Tom's there going, "Who cares?" Because he's in the middle of the act. The very next line in the movie, when you hear everyone rocking up to the room next door,
and he's finished.
Job's done. He jumps out of bed and goes, "What the hell was that?" So now you're interested, mate.
Yeah, your head's suddenly on a swivel now. It wasn't fucking 20 minutes earlier.
I was cracking
Mate,
up.
those robots could have come through the front door and he wouldn't have cared. Wait a minute, fellas.
Mate, they're probably watching anyway, the amount of cameras in that place.
Yeah, when he runs into the town drunk Seriously, it's funny that they're one and the same person, except Atkins wears better clothes and puts his fucking grog, puts his brown paper bag of grog in a ice bucket later on. That's the only difference.
Yeah, you're sharing a hotel room away, Tom. That's it.
That hobo did a good job, I thought.
Yeah, like I could see him looking at him intently, thinking, "Is that me?"
He did. He gave a lot of exposition with that.
Yeah. The whole thing about what they're doing up there.
Yeah,
I'm gonna burn the place down.
12
Wouldn't give a job like
Molotov
me.
cocktails.
Yeah, wouldn't give a job to a local like me.
Oh, I don't think that's the problem.
You're not allowed to turn up to work with a blood alcohol level above bloody 0.15.
He funded the terrorist when he gave him $20.
Yeah, he did give him money, didn't he?
Yeah.
And the guy goes, "Hey, that bottle's looking pretty heavy. I haven't got any diseases. Can I have a drink?"
That's an
Hey, of course,
endorsement from a
Atkins.
hobo, isn't it? I haven't got any diseases.
Yeah, Atkins is like, "I have."
After offending any Irish people that were watching, they've also
Oh my
offended
God.
homeless people as well.
Were they actually in Ireland? Because that Irish accent was like...
He is Irish, isn't he?
Yeah, Dan
The villain is actually Irish.
But the guy in the town that's running the place...
No, I don't think. Oh, yeah, I don't think.
No, I
he
don't
was.
think so.
He might as well have said, "You're after me, Lucky Charms."
I actually like the little chase through town when it's dark.
Yeah.
There was a couple of nice little shots in there. That was pretty fun. Pumping score again. I can't stop mentioning the score. That was good.
I did love it when they ripped that bloke's head off.
Yep.
Ripped the drunk guy's head off.
Yeah,
That was a nice little
pretty
touch.
sure.
I like
Effects.
the drill
Yeah.
on the
In the coroner's head,
coroner.
although
Yeah,
I've got
yeah.
a question
It's
mark
pretty-
on that whole entire sequence.
Pretty shoddy effects, but they were smart enough with it. Like they didn't show it. They didn't show it full on. It was kind of obscured by hands. And it
I
was
did
in
like the
dark
fact that
and-
they cut away and then cut back to a side view and the guys that are blood
Yeah, that was
jetting out
awesome. The
everywhere.
blood that spurts up and none of them react.
Yeah.
That was pretty good.
There's a really creepy shot where he looks out the window or looks out the door and there's like 5 guys in suits
Just all
standing
lined
side
up.
by side and they're all in the darkness.
Yep.
I thought that was a really cool shot. Admittedly, he didn't
shot.
turn around and go, "What's going on out here?"
What the hell's that?
No, who cares?
I think when they get to the factory, the kid's head in the
Oh, yeah,
factory,
that's
the test
cool.
subject.
Yeah.
You can see why that's kind of stood up as like
Yeah.
the one of the main images that
Grotesque
people
images,
remember
yeah.
from it. The
That was-
whole thing about how it's the bugs start crawling out, and then the snakes, and then the snake biting on
Bites
the
you on the
leg
leg,
and
yeah.
stuff. It's a pretty cool little sequence too.
It's as disgusting as you would have.
I liked just the kid's head melting. I thought that would have been enough, but
Just melting down
It
to like a
just-
stump.
I guess it. Yeah. I guess it did add.
Power of Stonehenge, mate. Turns it into snakes and
There is absolutely
Curse.
no explanation given as to why the kid's head turns into a fucking zoo.
no, there's not.
Zoo. That's so good.
Yeah. Okay, any more likes there?
How about I'm going to pose the question: is the
Okay.
very ending? Is that a like, a dislike, or somewhere in the middle?
Somewhere in the middle for me.
I kind of
Because I'd come out of 30 minutes of absolutely baffling bullshit that I
Yeah.
couldn't quite sort of get. I liked it. And Atkins, TA just sells it like,
Yeah,
the
he's
pro
really
that he is.
Makes a lot out of it.
He's really good, and you kind of, as you said though, you come out of 30 minutes of what are we doing here into the little anti-commercialism message
Yeah.
and things like that, and it's sort of, it plays all right. Like it's well, the scene's fairly well done, but yeah, it's sort of, I don't know.
It's a middle ground for me.
Stinger for the sake of it, kind of thing.
That's all right. I felt like it was.
No, because I felt that was a really good idea.
Yeah.
And if they hadn't have told us 30 minutes of tribe about fucking witchcraft and Stonehenge,
Yeah.
I might have got on board with it.
I was like,
right
that's a
behind it.
solid ending
Yeah, I thought it was
to
good.
a,
Ending.
to a subpar movie. I thought that was a solid way to end it.
Mm.
You're like, I definitely know I'm at the end of the movie, and I thought it was pretty powerful in what it was, but it felt a little bit ridiculous because you're like, there's the 3 TV stations are running the exact same ad at the same time.
Yeah.
But Dan O'Hellier, he's paid good money for that. What was his name? Cohen.
It was
Cochrane.
Cochrane.
Colin.
Connell Cochrane.
Colin Cochrane.
Colin Cochrane. No, it was Connell.
Connell
Cochrane.
But yeah, that was the thing about it. That the three, I don't know. It's the big giveaway at 9 o'clock that he managed to stump up for all the money. I guess we'll get into his plan later on. But
let's get into it. Is there any other likes?
No.
I think that's it.
Other than Dr. Chalice.
Well,
Again,
we could talk about him for
talk about him forever. But
half hour.
I knew it was going to happen, but I didn't mind when the girl turned into the robot.
Yeah, so did I.
that
I
was
actually really liked that, but there was one big question mark that had me kind of wondering too much about that. But I did like her acting was really solid in that part. Like the way she acted, like the robot, like turned on the. She was really good in that particular.
He would have grabbed the boob.
Oh, exactly. He was probably all she had to do was kind of give him a little wink, and he would have had his arms wrapped around her, and then got the job done.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, dislikes. Basically the movie falls apart once we finally get told what his plan is.
Yeah.
I mean,
I'm not going to pretend I know a great deal about the history of Stonehenge,
No.
but what are we doing pinching rocks from it?
small section of Stonehenge. I mean, it's not small; it's bloody massive.
5 ton, they
You would
said.
have needed. I mean, did they bring it across on a ship?
Well, it was a ship or a plane. They would have
It
had
had
to
to be a
use
ship.
There. But
I mean, you're not getting that through. That's not luggage.
Obviously,
That's
his
over
robots
20.
are pretty strong, but I mean, Tom Atkins can still take one down by hand. So how did we just?
That's Tom Atkins.
But
But the average bloke
the
can't
average
do
person
that.
couldn't. Clearly, I'm sorry. I didn't think that one through.
Yeah, you did.
Dr. Detective.
A handful of the robots are tiptoeing off with this 5-ton stone and not attracting any attention until they get to the airport.
And you know that in the background, when they tiptoe off with it, you hear. They tiptoe off with their little piece of Stonehenge. Look, the whole thing is ridiculous because at one point we've got robots. So we start with robots,
Yeah.
and that's all about his toy making skills.
Yep.
And then we show a piece of Stonehenge, and then he starts talking to Chalice about, the hills ran red.
Festival of
and the
Samhain.
Samhain, and he goes, witchcraft.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
I feel like that's where maybe.
couldn't we have
you
just
could
gone with
tell-
Stonehenge? Like he
Yeah.
stole a piece of Stonehenge.
Well, why is the movie called Season of the Witch? He just says witchcraft. That's the only thing he says. Festival of Samhain was to do with like paganism and things like that, wasn't it? Or I don't know, just confusing things more.
I feel like there was like multiple ride, like the multiple riders thing makes sense because it goes from being a detective flick into being like a James Bond flick for like half an hour there. He's like, I'm not going to tell you my plan, and then he goes on to tell his plan, which he escapes. Tom Atkins escapes from.
And as Tom Atkins was running out of the factory, he probably would have run back in and gone, could you just tell me, go over one more time what's going on here? Because I still don't know.
Well, the problem with all that is, you finally corner Atkins. Why don't you just rip his head off?
Yeah.
Yeah,
What
see,
was the point of keeping Atkins alive?
He wanted to
To explain.
in a way, I kind of liked that. We're this close to the ad coming on, so here you
Yeah,
go,
the
chuck a
vanity
mask
of-
on you, and a little bit of that kind of.
Maybe, but
the fact that he got
but the
out
guy
of
was
that
a
just
pain in the
keeping
ass.
television.
the guy was an
We
absolute.
didn't think of that.
Leave someone at the door. You've got a number of robots there who are unoccupied at the moment. So you had about 5 of them running after him in town. So I'm sure you can spare one to stand at the door just in case.
But my thinking is, the ad's coming on soon, but you know what? This guy's been a pain in my ass. Rip his head off. Rip his head off. That's simple. Because
I kind of liked it.
and we
For
were,
the reason, as Matty said, it's a bit of the vanity. It's a bit of you destroyed one of my creations, blah blah blah. So now I'm sort of going. Now you can see another of my creations.
He wanted to
what
punish
it's
him
gonna do to
for the 1700 whatever it was, the German person knitting
The old-
toy that got broken.
Oh,
So I think it was just like, you're gonna have to cop this.
right, okay.
How-
Just quality though. I love the fact that you pour gasoline over yourself, you light it, and the car
Must just
instantly explodes.
Yeah.
Like instantly. Like, yeah, look, I understand gasoline. She gets going pretty
pretty
fast,
hot.
but they don't usually explode.
Must have been the
not
fuel
that
source
quickly.
inside the robot. That's all I
Yeah,
can
it
come
Must
must
have been.
have been a trick. Another one of Cochrane's tricks.
Yeah, he used to. I mean, he came up with fake dog shit or something.
Yeah, he
that day,
came up
or-
with the sticky toilet paper, and, the dead dwarf trick, the classic dead dwarf trick. Oh yeah, I didn't get his.
How satisfied is he as he's dying? He has the
it's the
cheesiest
ultimate
smile on his face.
Well played. Sir.
Yeah, he got me. He got me. I'm about to disappear.
Yeah, classic stitch up.
That old trick, the old disappearing villain trick.
I was the magician.
That's almost as funny as the dead dwarf disappearing villain.
There's one of the most clunkiest pieces of kind of exposition, I guess you'd call it. When they arrive at the hotel, they're walking back to their hotel room, and this lady's car just goes, and this woman just throws it on her, doesn't know if the bar is open, just starts fucking rambling on about, the bloody factory's ruined, and I've got to stay here for another night. I'm just like, who are you talking to?
Yeah. That was actually, again, that was one of the things I was talking about, where we get a couple of good minutes before that, where they're kind of in the town and it's a bit eerie. Then within the space of about 10 seconds, the fucking place turns into a bloody a zoo, I think Tom Atkins mentioned it, and it was an understatement. Old mate comes in and just about, the bike flings off his thing and just about kills Tom Atkins, and then he jumps out and starts introducing himself, and then 2 seconds later is the one that you said, where the woman jumps up about the factory.
And that silly woman, I mean, who is sticking a hairpin into something that obviously looks electrical? I mean, at least you're getting a mild electrocution.
Yeah.
At worst, you're getting your face burned off. Which is exactly what happened.
Oh, man.
I mean, it was well and truly burned off too. I mean, geez.
Yeah, she was cactus after that.
If you're designing an escape-proof room, why have you got a vent in there that you can just pull off the wall?
Yeah.
Sick of this.
And why was
Sick
there-
of this.
Why
Even
was there
villains
no-
need air conditioning, mate. It's hot and sweaty in there.
Tie him up, put the
codes.
Yeah.
tie him up, put the mask on him. Put the mask on him. Should we turn the aircon on? Yeah, he looks a little sweaty. Whack on the aircon.
I'm
He'll be
sure
fine.
all the
We don't want
robots
his
are worried
moustache
about
to
that. The robots are all worried about the heat.
Yeah, his moustache is already wilted substantially. You better turn that on. that whole sequence where he breaks free, he just maneuvers his chair around a little bit, kicks the TV in, and then suddenly he's cutting. There's a piece of glass in his hand. He's cutting.
That's from the. Yeah, from
How
the
did he
TV
actually
to
get
see
his
him.
hands out? Because his hands was
Still
tied to
tied
his
to the
side.
sides. It was a good kick. I don't know.
No idea. Yeah, questions about that one.
I also love that bit where they get a sort of a tour of the facility.
Yeah.
With Atkins and the guy, the big salesman guy.
Yeah.
And he goes, these masks have been through final processing. And the bloke goes, what's final processing? It's a few little bits and pieces and what have you. Well, let's have a look. No. There's chemicals. There's big chemicals involved. And Atkins is, he's pushing for a look too. And they get bundled away. And Atkins looks back and there's a door that just has final processing at the top. Like, perhaps that's not really that shouldn't really be up there.
No, you probably put something.
Let's
else
not
on
put a
there, just
sign
leave it.
going final processing.
Yeah. Yeah, that was quite amusing actually.
Yep.
Just getting back to Chalice and the top years, I just put together a list of some of the things that he did in the film. Number one, they try to paint his wife as some sort of shrew because she always fires up whenever he rings up. But the only time we ever see him calling her is going, I can't pick the kids up again today. Like, no wonder she's blowing a top. The further
Can't get
down-
angry with
And
you.
then he rocks in with those rubbish masks.
Yeah, buys him the worst marks that he can bloody find. And then goes, what's the matter? You're not happy with them? It's like, no, mate, they're not. Of course they're not. Then, obviously, he's drinking on the job, grabbing nurses on the backside. He ditches the kids again with the six-pack resting on top of the phone, as you mentioned. Inquires, this is the big one for me. He gets it on with Ellie, and then after they're laying in bed, and he goes, how old are you? Mate, if there is a question in your mind, you ask that before you jump into the snap, don't you? So, yeah, that was
He's closer to the dad than he used to her, right?
that's it.
But his brain's pickled by piss, mate.
He probably thought he was asking before. But then there's also, not too long after that, he's back on the phone to the bird in the morgue attendant or whatever, and he's flirting again. He's like basically lining up some more action for when he gets back. Oh, the bloke is just a scumbag.
He's the ultimate player.
I felt like if he's got what he pretty much wanted from her, right?
Yeah, I expected you to just go, listen, I'm going to go.
when she's like, there's my car, and she runs off to the car, I expected him just to go, all right, so.
I saw your dad, he was on his way out of town, he's fine.
Isn't that your dad's car over there? Boink. He's running down the road.
I got someone to meet for dinner.
But all the kids will die. Ah, well, yeah.
I felt like he's a doctor, right? He's like good at critical thinking because you've got to be able to think on your feet. When Cochrane tells him, along with the 27 paramedics all in suits, that the best medical facilities are at the factory, that's why we're going to send her there. He doesn't go,
I'm a doctor, and the best facilities are at the hospital. Last time I checked,
there's no questions there.
I would have thought that would have been
at that point.
Obvious.
That is your checkpoint of. I'm pretty sure I can't solve this problem.
That's red flag.
Get the hell out of here.
Let's get out of here. This is shady.
You know what? I'm adding to the thing about how he treats his wife like she's a shrew. Right at the end, after he escapes from his impossible sort of prison, he crawls through the thing, he finds a phone and he rings her, and he's going, look, people are dead, there's going to be some problems tonight. No, I'm not drunk. I'm like, yes you are. Yeah.
Tell the pigs again, Tom.
That's what drugs do, mate. They tell lies.
He must
Your
be
lies.
really convincing on the phone though, because he's talking to the television station people and he's like, no, I don't have any evidence. Yes, just switch it off. And he gets 2 of the 3 done.
Boss,
well
there's a guy on the phone telling us we better switch this ad off. What do you reckon? Yeah, switch it off.
Is he yelling like a lunatic? Yeah, we should listen to him.
Does he have any evidence? No.
Okay, we'll take him at his word.
He said he drank half a bottle of Jack Daniels beforehand. Oh, that's
how much is Cochrane paying us for these ads? That's all right.
He's hitting on me.
Yeah, and hear his moustache whistling through the phone.
He's currently hitting on me. He told me he'd take me out to dinner.
I also going back to everyone starts rocking up at the hospital and it just shatters the tone.
Yeah.
I forgot all about this one, but it's one of the most. The old mate is in the office,
hotel, you mean?
And you hear, the old mate's in the office, and you hear him sitting there going, "Oh, really?" And then he shouts out the door, "Hey, honey, it's a freebie!" And I'm sitting there going, if there's any other way to shatter an eerie kind of tone and atmosphere that you'd gotten together, you've just shown us exactly how to do it in the space of about 30 seconds.
Oh, God.
It was absolutely shocking. I couldn't believe how badly it was.
There's no explanation for why the kid's head turns into, and bugs and snakes.
Yep.
Yeah.
Like, he doesn't sort of mention anything unless I missed it.
No. There's no explanation.
Too busy looking at Tom Atkins' mustache and not taking in what he was saying. But no, there's no explanation for that.
No.
Now, I
can let that little one pass.
I can let that go, but it was kind of a creepy scene. Yeah. But it's just interesting that there is no explanation when they're talking about Stonehenge and the whole thing about how
basically the explanation is the magic. There's magic in the stone. Okay.
The one that I didn't quite get was the killing the coroner. Because she's doing this kind of investigation of her own, car parts and, I think I found some robot parts.
She's putting together the robot. And she's like, I've solved it. And then gets killed.
Yeah, but by that stage, Chalice was already been grabbed by O'Hurley and told the entire fucking story. So what was the point of killing her?
Whatever.
I think it was just, to illustrate that the place had been bugged and...
She looked like she was putting together a...
But they done that by showing that there was a... They'd shown us that there was a bug that was being bugged by bringing a camera down and showing us there's a bug hanging from just below the telephone that he's making the calls from.
Yeah, I don't know.
You didn't need
just
it.
Lifting the.
I just think you needed to. They just wanted to have someone get drilled through the head.
A little. Yeah, something like that. An extra person to knock off for gore factor, I suppose.
There's a lot of unnecessary stuff in this.
Another two big questions I had. Why were they leaving the missing bloke's car at the factory?
Yeah.
We've had it's seemingly going by the countdown that 8 more days till Halloween, blah blah blah, down to
We've
when
got 8 days to get rid of
We've
it.
had a number of days to get rid of that thing, and the only time they're in the factory, here it is behind an open. It even looked like a door you could close.
He was leaving loose ends all over the place. 'Cause the world was going to end after every single kid died from the ads, because there was stuff like
You're getting sloppy, Cochran.
after he kills his top salesman, before he kills his top salesman, he reveals that he's not even taking orders for next year. In his head, everything is done after Halloween.
Yeah.
I do not even care if I get caught up until that point. The robots can protect me until that happens.
He was
But,
sloppy.
Okay, well, question piggybacking off that, we're led to believe, obviously, that Ellie is a robot from the time that the Chalice breaks her out. So why does she not stop him destroying the plan?
But why does he even bother making her a robot?
Well, that's the thing. I thought
He's got everything in. He's got everything in.
He's got everything in hand. Why is he taking the time to make her into a robot?
he's made her a robot.
Yeah.
But she doesn't do anything until after the only fucking spanner in the works has torn the whole bloody plan apart.
Yeah, that's
why, when they're not, the part where they're sneaking around behind a rack of masks, which was
hilarious.
Looked like Scooby Doo or something. Why does she not knock him off then when she knows that he's about to rip the whole plan apart?
Yeah, I don't know.
Your guess is as good as mine, I think.
They did that same thing. They did that same thing in that Stonehenge scene. For some bizarre reason, there's a rack of masks that gets carried through.
Yeah.
That has nothing to do with what's going on.
Get your masks out of here. There's a whole fucking factory there.
This is the TV rock room. Get out.
It's ridiculous. And the other part is, I just don't understand. This is probably my final thing to say. Like, we're going back to the plan. I just don't understand what his entire plan to bring back Sarwin or whatever
kill every kid
is to kill. Well, is everyone got a silver shamrock mask?
Yeah.
So he's knocking off what?
Doesn't make sense.
30 to 40%.
30 to 40%. No, but they're all bloody trick or treating anyway, aren't they? He's
Right.
knocking off 10% of the kids in America. What's happening then?
Because I tell you what, the rest of Europe and that aren't watching any ads.
That's it.
They ain't got any masks.
He's talking about how it's the last Halloween. So what is he?
I don't know.
He knocks off 10% of the kids in America and then thinks,
Gotcha.
How about that one? What do you reckon? Funnier than the Dead Dwarf or not?
Because I think he makes some sort of offhand comment about pranks and shit.
Yeah.
And this is kind of like his huge prank or something like that.
Got him.
I'd rather bloody fake dog shit.
Yeah, why did you just send out a few whoopee cushions, mate?
Yeah. Look, I've made the largest fake dog turd.
Why couldn't they have poisonous gas whoopee cushions in there? That would have been a hit.
I think you've just come up with the next installment.
Because let me tell you, if I received a whoopee cushion in the mail, I'd be sick.
Someone's
Funny.
What a stupid idea. Quick, sit on it.
Yeah, look, I think you've hit the nail on the head, and I think you've closed out the discussion pretty well with that comment.
I've got one big one left. But you go.
Go for it.
The my monstrous dislike is you've got this folklore of an awesome Halloween movie, or I haven't seen the second one yet, but I'm assuming it's in the same vein, and like you get even within the movie, you get these glimpses of like these kids trick or treating, riding around on the skateboard with these masks on. You get glimpses, and then you just carry it away into this stupid factory James Bond scene that in a hick town that is just so far removed from what the original and what people actually really liked about the franchise. Just for this weird, bizarre, I guess, is the payoff at the end of.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think
challenge.
it comes back to what I said before. If it wasn't called Halloween, it would have got more traction or some more traction because it might have been. Actually, no, it would have got less traction box office wise.
Yeah.
Because the only reason it made money is because it was called Halloween.
Yeah, that's right.
But what I mean is it might have had a better...
Less criticism against it.
it might have been seen a little bit better.
I think Carpenter just wanted to move on. So perhaps it might have been the better idea, which is what they did later, is to just say, just go without you, you know?
But Carpenter wanted to move on, he wanted to do new things, but when there was a gigantic check coming in the mail, he was happy to accept it.
So I think that was...
In a way, I feel it was kind of a misstep in the sense that Michael Myers had become synonymous with it.
Yeah.
And losing him for an entire film basically had you... As a fan, when you saw it in 1982, you would have been seething.
Yeah,
with
absolutely.
Rage. But in looking back on it,
but I was seething and I knew it was coming. Like,
looking back on it, it's for me personally, I look on it more fondly than I previously did.
Because with a bit of time, you've kind of moved away.
And I'd accepted that it wasn't going to be about Michael Myers. It's not about Michael Myers at all. And in fact, I'm a fan of Halloween 4. So having this in there kind of gave them that little impetus to bring Michael back a certain way.
Yeah.
Which worked. But overall, I kind of enjoyed it more.
It's more fun to look back on now.
Yeah.
You know, there's no anger attached to it like there was. Well, maybe a little bit of anger attached to it.
Some people are angry.
But yeah, it's more fun to look back on now and just say, yeah, they've done this. It's a long time in the past now.
Yeah.
They fluffed it, but it's fun to look back on as a little bit of a curiosity.
It's kind of a good try to do something different, like a good try, but ultimately the ending is probably its big.
It's like the new Coke of the Halloween series.
I can see if it eventuated into...
Because what they were going to do was a new Halloween movie
that's what I'm saying,
did not, was not connected to the next one every year.
Which could have worked.
It could have worked, yeah.
Yeah, if you hadn't already set up... If the first one wasn't a stone cold classic, so much so that people were begging for Michael Myers in the second one, then once you move away from it, it's like...
Michael Myers isn't even the best thing about Halloween, though.
No.
It's just, it's got mood, it's got style, it's got awesome shots, it's got suspense, it's got good young actors in it, and it's got Donald Pleasance behind the scenes ramping up the action.
I love it.
Yeah, I guess they could have gone with a movie in the same vein, or they could have picked a better project for that same...
Well, your problem lay with the fact that they ended Halloween the way they ended it. Because ultimately, if they'd have ended it with a less ambiguous, he's not gone, you wouldn't have needed the sequel. You could have gone off in a totally different direction. But the sequel then answered where was he? They connected him up. And then you come in with a third film, you've already created the franchise, so to speak. Yeah. Come in with a third film and you say, we're not going to have the main character from it.
Or maybe even if the fourth one didn't reconnect back to Mike Myers then you could have gone on with that idea and extended that franchise.
I think fading box office would have taken hold though.
Yeah.
Because this one made a little bit of money because it was part of the Halloween franchise.
Yeah.
But then bringing back Michael Myers made the next one successful. In a sense that, it was pretty well regarded and it was also pretty well box office wise. So, you can kind of see what they were trying to do, but it ultimately didn't work. But as far as turd sandwiches go, it was quite edible.
We've seen this.
Alright, that's Halloween 3. Season of the Witch. You can find us on iTunes, Spotify and Podomatic. If you want to get in contact with us, send us an email at thrillme@iinet.net.au. Like us on Facebook, Thrill Me Podcast Australia, Podomatic at thrillme.podomatic.com, and Instagram at thrillmepodcastau. Next episode, keep an eye on our Facebook page for more details. But until then, take it easy and we'll catch up with everyone later. Cheers. Find the podcast at Podomatic or on iTunes. Don't forget to rate and review. Like us on Facebook at Thrill Me Podcast Australia or contact us at thrillme, all one word, all lowercase, at iinet.net.au.